Abu Azim there in Khan Yunis. Okay, well, let's get the view now from occupied East Jerusalem. And Mohammed Jamjoon is there. And Mohammed, we now know, of course, that there are some guarantees behind this exchange happening. Lists have been exchanged. What more are the Israelis saying about this? And how will this go down amongst Israeli citizens?
So, Neve, just in the past 10 minutes or so, we've received a statement from the office of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It's very short. Let me just read it to you. It says, Israel confirms that it has received an initial list of names. The responsible officials are checking the details of the list and are currently in contact with all of the families. Nothing beyond that at this hour. Now, throughout the day, we've heard different things from Israeli officials, many of them quoted anonymously throughout different publications in Israel, essentially saying that they believe that there were last-minute hiccups, potentially last-minute demands posed by Hamas that were posing challenging as they were getting closer to a deal being announced. But all of those Israeli officials had stated that they did not believe that this was going to be a deal breaker, that all of these obstacles could be surmounted, could be overcome. So now that's what we've seen play out. Now, there is supposed to be a press conference being held. Well, actually, no, there's supposed to be a war cabinet meeting that's going to be held a little bit later this evening in Tel Aviv, we believe at the Ministry of Defense, and there are indications that after that there will be a press conference held by Prime Minister Netanyahu, and we believe that would also include the Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and possibly the former Defense Minister Benny Gantz, who's also a member of the War Cabinet. So potentially we could be hearing directly from the leadership here in Israel with regard to more details about the deal finally having been agreed to later on in the evening. We'll get you those details as we have them. Now, as regards to how it's actually being played out when it comes to public opinion, there's not been any polling that we've seen as of yet. But we have heard throughout the day from members of the families of some of those captives. They've been quoted in different Israeli media outlets, many of them expressing concern because as of last night, 24 hours ago, there was a real sense of cautious optimism that that ceasefire was going to begin earlier today, this morning, around 10 a.m. local time. That's what everybody was prepared for, many of them preparing to potentially start seeing captives having been released even as of this hour today. Then, as of this morning, there was the announcement that everything had been delayed at least by a day. So there was growing concern amongst family members that they didn't know what was going to happen next. Some of them were worried that perhaps the deal had fallen through. So certainly we expect to hear a sort of collective sigh of relief from those relatives, from those family members, many of them who've been marching out in the streets for weeks, who've been calling on the government again and again to do more to secure the release of those captives. We do not yet know if family members of captives have actually been informed, especially the family members of the captives who may potentially be released as early as tomorrow. We expect we'll be getting those details in the hours to come when we hear more from Israeli officials. But as of right now, what we know is that the Israeli government has confirmed that it has received a list of names of that first batch of captives in Gaza that are expected to be released tomorrow. Neve?
All right, Mohammed Jamjoon, occupied East Jerusalem, thank you. Okay, let's go over now to Zain Basravi, who joins us from Nablus in the occupied West Bank. And Zain, of course, the